Prime Minister, on Ukraine, President Trump has signalled he's prepared to sell more weapons to allies to send to Ukraine. The Chancellor just referenced that, including Patriot missile systems. Will the UK be involved, and how much of a game changer will this be? And I need to ask you a domestic question, I'm afraid. In 1997, when 47 MPs voted against Tony Blair's welfare plans, not a single one had the whip removed. He, like you, had a massive majority, but unlike you, he just didn't feel the need to punish MPs. Why are you so rattled by this? Doesn't it look weak? And to the Chancellor, if I may, on illegal migration, you're planning to stop people smugglers using warehouses to store boats, which is very welcome. The French have agreed a trial of a one-in, one-out solution. But aren't Britain's problems being exacerbated by European Union failing to properly police its borders? And aren't you also hurting politically at home because of this? And just quickly on Ukraine, do you think President Trump... I know, I know, sorry, So, do you think President Trump is finally seeing President Putin for who he really is, and how much is that going to help Kyiv? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Beth, let me take your two first. On the question of Ukraine, obviously we've been working with our allies and with the US for a very long time now, but particularly intensely in recent weeks. To get to the position we're in now, where the President has made it absolutely clear that he wants Putin to move, and backing that up with capability, both military capability, as it were, but also economic as well. That is really important, and we are discussing it closely. We had a long discussion about it. Today we discuss it almost every time we meet. And we are working together on that. Last week, of course, we had the Coalition of the Willing meeting, where we had US representation there, particularly on the question of sanctions. So we are working hard with the US on this. And I think this shows the strength of Germany, France and the UK working so closely together with other allies in Europe, but also working very closely with the US. On the domestic question, look, we were elected in to change this country for the better. And that means we've got to carry through that change, and we've got to carry through reforms, because we inherited a broken economy and broken public services. No government has inherited both of those ever before, and I'm determined that we will change this country for the better for millions of working people. And I'm not going to be deflected from that. Therefore, we had to deal with people who repeatedly break the whip, because everyone was elected as a Labour MP on the manifesto of change, and everybody needs to deliver as a Labour government. This is about what we're doing for the country, and that's why I'm so determined to press forward with the reforms and the change that we need to bring about. Thank you very much. Friedrich.
Thank you for brief questions. Have we brought enough time for today? And so I'm free. I have no other meeting today. No, zuerst zur Ukraine.
Let me respond to the question regarding Ukraine first. I'm very grateful indeed that President Trump once again expressed his readiness in the past few days to assist, continue to assist Ukraine by providing weapons. Over the last few days, we reached an agreement making sure that from the European continent new Patriot systems would be supplied to Ukraine, and that these will then be replaced by the United States, because we do have to preserve and maintain our defense capabilities. So I take it that the defense ministers will be reaching arrangements as to the logistics side of things these hours as we stand here, so as to make good on what the President of the United States promised. Now, as far as migration policy is concerned, this government, my government, has taken another step after the previous government having taken the first two steps, given the far too high numbers of migrants. Numbers are going down. In the second half of in the first quarter of 2025, we had roughly 25% less than in the same quarter last year. We have increased our efforts, but we know that
Zeit
border
ihre
controls
notwendige Wirkung haben. Wir
only
wollen den
have the necessary
Schengen-Raum
effect for a
nicht
limited period of
schädigen.
time. We don't
Wir
want to
wollen
damage the
internen
Schengen
Markt, also
area,
den Binnenmarkt,
the single
nicht
market.
beschädigen. Wir wollen
We don't
den
want to
freien
damage the
Personenverkehr,
single
den
market
Güterverkehr,
either,
den
the freedom
Warenverkehr,
of
den
movement of goods and of
Dienstleistungsverkehr
persons and of
aufrechterhalten.
services and
Insofern setze ich mich auch
transportation.
persönlich sehr stark dafür
And so
ein,
far, I
dass wir zu
personally
gemeinsamen
try to
und
do what I
besseren
can in
europäischen
order to
Regeln
ensure
kommen.
that we can
Und diese
agree
Regeln
on
müssen die
common and
Grenzen
better
der Europäischen
European
Union insgesamt besser
regulations
schützen.
to better
Ich habe mit,
protect the external
Premierminister
borders of the
Starmer auch über
European
dieses Thema
Union. And I
heute
talked
Morgen
about this to the
ausführlich
Prime Minister
gesprochen,
this
dass wir hier auch
morning.
mit Großbritannien eng zusammenarbeiten.
Our objective is to
Die
closely
Zusammenarbeit
cooperate with the United
Großbritannien
Kingdom.
und Frankreich in den
The
letzten
cooperation
Wochen
between the
verabredet
United
worden ist,
Kingdom and
muss
France
ergänzt
that was
werden
agreed
eine
last week
Verabredung,
has to
die
be
wir auch mit
complemented by an
Großbritannien
agreement
zwischen
that
Deutschland und
we
Frankreich
aim to
gemeinsam
achieve
treffen.
between
Wir
the
wollen
three of
illegale
us,
Migration
UK, Germany,
in ganz
France. We
Europa
want to
drastisch
stand up and to
zurückbringen.
and
Und wir
drastically
sind auf einem
reduce
guten Weg,
illegal
aber wir sind noch nicht am
migration
Ziel.
in Europe. We are on a good path, but we haven't reached
Beth,
the
let me just
target
add
yet.
to that last answer, if I may, because I'm really grateful to the Chancellor for leading on this in relation to the change in German law, which is hugely important to us. As you know, we're determined to intervene at every stage of the journey that is made to bring down those that are running this vile trade. Last week, we obviously dealt with what's happening in the north of France in relation to maritime tactics and our ability to return people through the returns agreement that we agreed last week to France. But for a long time, I've been very concerned about the fact that engines in particular, but component parts of the boats that are being used are travelling through and being stored in Germany, but they can't be seized because the law didn't accommodate for a country which had left the EU and therefore needed to be amended. And I am very grateful for the Chancellor, and we've discussed this at great length on a number of occasions, is now going to change the law, introduce the necessary legislation so that we can intervene in that place. And that is the kind of leadership and cooperation that is necessary if we're going to deal with this issue. And it should be seen, as the Chancellor says, alongside the work we did with France last week. And I endorse everything that was said about the strength of the E3 relationship. Germany, France and the UK leading not just on defence and security in Europe, but on many other issues as well, most of which are reflected in the treaty that we signed this morning. Thank you very much.